This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Welcome to History in the Eyes of a Southerner with your host, Anthony Allen. On this channel, we will take a journey through time and relate history to the contemporary eyes of modern America. I hope you enjoy the ride as I investigate and document the wonderful events that have shaped our present world. Alright, y'all, so this is going to be the 6th video in the series on McCarthyism. And yesterday was Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And I'm going to get into the civil rights. So we're moving beyond the McCarthy trials, and we're moving into the 1960s. J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, was convinced that the civil rights movement, especially the fight against Jim Crow and the fight for equality, was a communist plot to divide and conquer and destroy this great country of ours. Now, we all know we know now that that was false, that was a lie. But J. Edgar Hoover, boy, he thought it was gospel. He genuinely was of the opinion that under the opinion that it was a communist plot. So all you black people who wanted to send your kids to the same school as white people, wanted to eat at the same restaurants as white people, wanted to be treated the same as white people, were pawns in a communist plot. That was the official reports of the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover called Martin Luther King a communist. Now, this could have been politically based. I mean, let's face it, he wasn't real popular with the white people in the 1950s, 1960s. Quite obviously, especially here in the South. He wasn't it was normal and accepted, unfortunately, and I am not by any means saying that this was right or condoning what happened. I would never do that. But it was the official opinion of the FBI that he was communist, which hurt his credibility. Granted, even with somebody hurting his credibility, he did a lot of great things. And he was able to accomplish a hell of a lot. Thankfully. And I'm glad he was. Even with all the adversity that he had to go through, he was able to basically end segregation for the most part. Sadly, he got shot and killed by a coward in 1968, but his name lives on, his work lives on, and his efforts are still, to this day, bearing fruit. Now, if the civil rights movement in the 1960s, 1950s was a communist plot, and they were trying to rid communism all over the world. I mean, we sent military troops in Korea to stop the spread of communism. We deployed military troops in Vietnam. We deployed military troops into West Germany. We deployed troops along the Iron Curtain. We sent the CIA into Greece. We sent insurgents down into Cuba and other countries in South America. We, as a country, killed people to end communism worldwide. They were literally trying to cancel it. Now, how does that play into today's standards? This is where I draw the link between McCarthyism and cancel culture. And this is probably going to be the final video that I do on this unless I think of something else to say. Hippies were considered promoting communism, according to some in the U.S. government. Anti-war demonstrators in the 1960s were considered anti-American. Country Joe McDonald, his parents gave him his name Joe after Joseph Stalin. One of my favorite artists, by the way, is Country Joe and the Fish. One of my favorite bands. They tried to cancel. They failed. Because, to quote my dad, the hippies were right. So in the name of stopping communism, we canceled entire cultures. We sent people to die. Just to stop communism. We spent our money, we dedicated our military to this. Now, I am not defending communism, I never will. Communism goes against everything I believe in. socially, economically. I like having my rights. I like having the First Amendment. I like having the right to be tried by a jury of my peers. I like the Second Amendment, being allowed to own firearms. I think these are fundamental freedoms in this country that if we didn't have it, we would lose it. We would lose this country. This country would not be where it is today. I believe that. So, that being said, I believe that communism was a bad thing. I further believe that every country has the right to govern itself however they see fit. If Cuba wants to be communist, let them be communist. If Vietnam wanted to be communist, let them be communist. If the people want to stand up, help them. Don't send military. Send them weapons. Now, being that they were trying to cancel this, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's go to 2001. What happened September 11th, 2001? I'm not going to get into exactly how I feel about it, but if you were against the war on terror, or if you said anything, you may be labeled a terrorist. We had something called the Department of Homeland Security formed. We had no fly list. These are non-appealable things. So if you were going to do something, if you were going to say something that was out of line, it may cost you a government clearance. It may cost you the right to fly. It may cost you whatever other freedoms that you could get that an ordinary person that towed the line and kept his mouth shut may not have. Is that not going against the Constitution? The Patriot Act is a direct descendant, in my opinion, of McCarthyism because of how broad it was. Now, let's fast forward to more recent history, to 2015. That idiot that shot up a church in South Carolina. I don't hold with racist morons. I think racism is horrible. I think anybody who's completely racist is a complete fool. Anybody who's racist is a complete fool. If you hate somebody because of the color of their skin or their religion or whatever, you are a fool. Pure and simple. And you're limiting yourself. You have the right to do so. You certainly do have the right to do so. You're wrong, but you have the right to be wrong too. But now, with cancel culture, just like they were trying to cancel out the communists, the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 70s, 80s, now they're going after trying to cancel other things. I'm sure somebody will try to cancel me. You can try to cancel me online. I'm cool with that. But because of this and because of the division in this country, people have tried to cancel people's lives. And what I mean by cancel people's lives is I'm talking about literal murder or threats. To give you an idea, I've been on the receiving end of this. Yeah, I fly the Confederate flag. That's my heritage. I'm from Mississippi. I've been all over the country. I've lived in several places in this country. I've lived in Louisiana. Now I'm in Florida. I've lived in Mississippi. Obviously, I was born there. Grew up about half my life between Biloxi and New Orleans. I've lived other places in Mississippi. I've lived in Mobile, Alabama. I've lived all over Florida. I've lived in Tennessee, and I've lived in Arizona. And I have literally been to all of the lower 48. One of the places I lived from 2019 to 2020 was in Miami, Florida. It's a beautiful place. It's a melting pot. Much like New Orleans is a melting pot. Much like Atlanta is a melting pot. New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, they're all melting pots. Miami would probably be the biggest melting pot in my opinion. Because you have so many cultures there. You have African cultures, you have Caribbean cultures, and there are several different cultures of Caribbean that's in Miami. You have the Florida cracker culture. The old pioneers that started the town. You have the Native American culture, the Seminole, the Miccosukee. And then you got a whole bunch of people that ain't from Florida, ain't from Miami, that live there. Mainly from New York. But I go down there. And I have I had the real Mississippi flag on my car. The real Mississippi flag, which I maintain is still our official flag, regardless of what Governor Tate Reeves signed. Had the Confederate flag in its canton. People didn't like that. Then, just because of who I am, mainly to piss people off, I put a bunch of them on my car. Well, at the time, I worked for the state of Florida. I was a correctional officer for the Florida Department of Corrections. And somebody tried to cancel me, tried to cancel my job. And they failed. Then another person decided to go to work. Keep in mind, we are talking about a law enforcement organization with a Black Lives Matter pin on their uniform. Florida has a strict uniform policy. The only thing they do not tell you on your uniform is what color undershorts you can wear. Literally. They tell you what kind of rings you can wear, what color watch you have to wear, what color your socks are. They give you the pants. They tell you what kind of boots to wear. They give you the shirt. They tell you what color undershirt to wear. They give you a hat. Well, this particular person decided to put a Black Lives Matter pin on her uniform. I saw it. The only thing I said to her was, "Good morning." The reason is I personally didn't care, and I still don't care. Didn't bother me a bit. I knew it was against policy. But I knew if I said anything, the shit would hit the fan. Well, the warden saw it. Calls this officer into her office, or into his office, and tells her, you can't wear that. It is against uniform policy. Well, the conversation went to what was on my car. My car is my private property off the compound. Yes, it was in the parking lot. But again, black and white is black and white. Policy and procedure is policy and procedure. Period. End of story. End of statement. End of it all. It doesn't matter. There's nothing in policy that I violated. And that's what she was told. Well, I was living on the grounds of the prison. I was living on staff housing. Had my trailer there. Sorry about that. Had my trailer on staff housing. And while I've got my trailer there, this person decided to drive to where my trailer was and start snapping pictures of my car. Posted it all over Facebook and Instagram. I didn't care. I didn't care about that until I read the comments. And somebody threatened me. Let me see that car driving down the road, and I'm going to run it off the road. I should have put my phone on silent. My bad, y'all. Anyway, I don't respond well to threats. You threaten me, I'm going to respond. Now, in all fairness, nobody ran me off the road. But if they had, I would have defended myself and I would have used lethal force. Because running me off the road, as far as I'm concerned, you're committing aggravated battery against me. You are trying to take my life. I'm going to defend my life with lethal force. And that's all there is to it. So I got rid of my car and I bought me a truck. I bought me a 92 model F350 dually. Put all my stuff on that. Now in Miami, a lot of people drive these old plastic foreign cars. You're not running that off the road. Promise you, you do more damage to your car than you will my truck. But anyway, I digress. Now, McCarthyism and cancel culture have gone beyond even that. It's anything that somebody is offended by, they want to remove. McCarthy was offended by what he perceived was a communist threat. Now, anything that offends anybody or they think could be offensive to them, they deface, they tear down monuments. I think the one that really pissed me off was when they defaced the monument to the 54th Massachusetts. That really pissed me off, by the way. In the name of Black Lives Matter. Because they're stupid. They apparently don't know who Robert Gould Shaw was. They apparently don't know anything about the 54th Massachusetts. If they did, they would have defended that monument instead of defacing it. But they're stupid. They don't know history. But that's the world that we're living in now. And it's sad. Again, this is all relative. Maybe we should learn in this country that we all have the right to disagree with each other. Maybe we should learn in this country to respect each other. Maybe we should learn to stop labeling each other in this country. The second we do that, the second this country will start standing together. Just my thoughts. Thank you for watching History in the Eyes of a Southerner. Your host, Anthony Allen.